So after several states went blue, and it's pretty clear to everyone that Joe Biden won the election, there was celebration in the streets, people dancing, which was nice. I like dancing, I like celebration, I like people coming together in the streets. But it didn't give me any hope. The election kind of sucked. I get more hope from the year-long riots we had than the election. And here's why. So I don't get any hope from the election because Joe Biden sucks. His positions are bad. He tweeted out his COVID plan. His plan was 3 simple points. Point number 1, everyone wear a mask. Point number 2, we'll roll out a couple vaccines. Rule number 3, we're gonna open up schools. One of those things, I'm pretty sure, is already happening right now and doesn't actually fight viruses because it's opening up schools. The first of those things has nothing to do with the government because it's not give people masks, it's you. You do it, which was what Trump was doing. And the third thing would have happened no matter who was president. No hope. So real quick, what does need to happen to fight COVID is evictions need to stop. People need to be paid money to stay home, and people need to not be charged money to be treated for COVID. So probably some kind of universal health care is in order for at least people getting money to live and evictions stopping. So I have several videos about this topic, such as stop evicting people, but also maybe we shouldn't evict anyone ever anyway. So once again, to explain my rationality, systematic problems need systematic solutions. Everyone wear a mask is a call for individuals to do the right thing, which is okay and fine, but that leaves the possibility of people not doing the right thing. And in order to stop a systematic problem, the thing needs to be dealt with. People need to do the thing. And framing a systematic problem with an individualistic solution like that is what causes individuals to just be harassed. Poor people harassed by police for not having a mask. People that are uncomfortable with masks, not wearing them, and then putting other people at risk because there's no systematic structure in order to get them a mask and to make sure that people are safe. And then if people get sick, there's no systematic structure to make sure that they're healed or taken care of, or that we have enough beds or masks even in our hospitals. So other than Joe Biden's terrible policies, which by the way I called in another video called How Do We Defeat Trump, where I wrote off Joe Biden because he has nothing to offer, and Joe Biden, President-elect, now has nothing to offer. I'm so smart, look at me, but it's not about. I don't get hope from the election because Joe Biden, who has nothing to offer and might be more likable than Trump, but he almost lost to Trump. It was not a wide victory. The coalition put together to elect Joe Biden is not going to stay together, and can only stay together by browbeating and shaming people in not an election year. When I talk on Facebook about things that need to happen to combat COVID, people come at me with, that's gonna help the Republicans because I'm criticizing a Democrat. It's gonna help the Republicans. It's not a fucking election anymore. You won the election. How does it hurt Democrats? Unless the Democratic coalition is so fragile and stupid that light criticism, anything less than constant rah-rah bullshit, hurts the party. That is not the strength of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is the majority of America. There's 1.5 million more registered Democrats than Republicans. Hillary Clinton got 3 million more votes than Donald Trump. The Democratic Party can afford to be nuanced in order to tackle these issues, but they're not, because they don't want to be the party of the people and of nuance and solutions. They want to be the Republicans. And we know that because Joe Biden won where down ticket Republicans won. So people in states voted for Joe Biden and then voted for Republican for their senators, for their local elections, for their state elections, and Democrats expected it to be like a normal transition, like as if normally when people have their views aligned with the Democratic Party, they go all Democrat. But they're not. They specifically go for Republicans and never Trumpers. And they just went not Trump and voted down ticket red. The Democrats have not yet won over the Senate. They will not be able to get anything done without the Senate. Joe Biden barely won the election. Rank and file people might have celebrated, might dance in the street, might be glad that Orange Man Bad is gone, but they're still browbeating as if we're running up to an election, so they know their position is weak because their position is bad. Saying this next election is the most important of our life will happen for every election after this because the Democrats have nothing of substance. They have, we're gonna do the same thing as Republicans but be nice about it. I have no hope for our current political structure whatsoever because our current political structure does not care. But I do have hope about riots. Earlier this year, the police killed a man by existing. Now normally when this happens, when a police murder a civilian, they like have a gun or they have some kind of tactics. So there's several reforms that can be done like before actually getting rid of the police. For example, they could say that, oh, there needs to be more black officers so that white officers don't just assume that the black people are criminals. They could say that maybe cops should carry guns so it's not as easy for them to just kill someone. But all this was skipped because a cop put his knee on a man's neck, because a cop put a knee on a man's neck until he died, and 3 officers watched him put a knee on a man's neck until he died. Problem is not the guns, the problem is not the training, the problem is that those 4 police exist, and we feel that now. Thus, we should abolish the police, because they are part of the problem. They're a problem that's killing people, and punishing people for, say, being poor, or being black. People can say, hey, there are more white people are killed than black people, why make such a big deal out of it? And I respond to you, sir or madam, why don't you grow a spine and stand up for the white people being murdered? Because Black Lives Matter is doing that exact thing when they asked for the cop to be abolished. The police exist to punish people for being poor. We have poor people because our economy is a market, and it's used to extract resources from the land and from the people and funnel it up to rich CEO perverts. Police do not solve crime. Police do not prevent crime. Police distract you from the fact that people are homeless while we have empty homes and plenty of land. The police, by stopping people who steal money, distract you from the fact that people need more money to live and are not provided with an opportunity for that money within our current economic structure and have to go to crime. Because our current economic structure is a complete failure for giving people what they need. Because our economic structure's job is to make as much money as possible instead of meet people's needs. But the riots see this. The riots, the protests, I should say, started by people. They're saying these cops are part of the problem of murdering people. Criminals are not a preordained thing. They're not essentially criminals. They are you. If you didn't have any money or a home or a job, you might not get one because you don't already have a home, and you might have to resort to stealing to live, or you will die. If you had the choice to do a crime or die, would you just die? The riots will either succeed in one of 2 ways. Well, one of several ways. The riots make police less prestigious because the police are bastards. You say the cops help keep traffic safe. I say, fine, get rid of the police, make traffic boys. Or the cops help distribute supplies to people. I'm like, fine, make people that give out supplies to people and don't have them carry guns or think they need to kill the poor. There's no reason a police officer should do 25 jobs. We should have more jobs. We should meet those needs. Tear down the prestige of police. And actually, Renegade Cut has a fantastic video about this, all hobo cops are bastards, for more of this particular argument. So we're gonna focus on the riots. The second way the riots can win is if they just straight up win. If somehow the voice of the people is heard and towns adopt these things that the protests want and they downsize their police departments. They take the funding, the extreme, stupid amount of funding that we give to police and put it to programs that actually help people. And the third way is they beat the shit out of the cops. In Portland, Oregon, they have never stopped rioting. Every night, every weekend, they're out there protesting the police. This is detailed very well in an article by Robert Evans that I think I've referenced before, but is wonderful. They keep protesting because it doesn't hurt them anymore. It is easier to protest than to go home and rest and process all the trauma that the police just put them through. Tear gas doesn't work on these people anymore because they know a way around it. They know how to fight back against cops and kettling, and in that way have made the police useless. And now those people will always have that knowledge and that training that they've learned from each other and from trial and error of being exposed to the cops and their shitty brutality all the time. Remember beginning of the video where I talked about things with COVID and how maybe we shouldn't evict people and make people homeless when people need to stay home? They're doing that in Portland because all the while under Donald Trump, he never stopped evictions. He stopped evictions for a small amount of people, but he didn't stop them completely, and cops were always evicting people, and courts were always taking those cases. But Portland, Oregon, and protests have stopped landlords from filing in courts, have barred them at the front door. Landlords are bastards and leeches on society, but cops, when coming to evict people, are meeting protests, and these protesters know how to kick the shit out of cops. And they are winning, and they are stopping evictions from happening. And they can't win forever, but it's what needs to be done, because we shouldn't be evicting people at a time when people need to stay home, and probably need to be paid to stay home. And this gives me hope, because there's nothing in the government that will make positive change. Positive change has to come from the people, has to come from you and me on the street demanding the things that we need to make life better. Because Joe Biden will only listen to corporations, will only do what Google and Facebook want him to do, and not what we need him to do. So riots and protests either demand good actual action from the government, or they take it for themselves. And that is my only hope. Us taking for ourselves what we need to live. Because it's either we take it or we die. And I don't want thousands of more people to die for profits of shitty companies and landlords. Hey, this is the point of the video where I tell you to go to my Patreon and give me money, but no one has a job, so watch another video. Why not, if you're inside? Love ya.